when I was out on the road show, as I was talking to you guys, I said, hey, fellas, I said, I don't like a two-tier system. I said, I understand some of the problems of a two-tier system. It creates two classes of citizens, as you tell me. And over time, it threatens you, the current workforce, because you say, when those guys become a big enough part of the population, what are they going to do to us? I hear all those concerns. And to some degree, those concerns are logical. I can put some truth to those, potentially over time. And as you will recall, I stood in front of you and I said, fellas, I don't like a two-tier system. The way I'd like to do this is everybody in this company, all the pilots together, give a little so we can achieve parity. And you might recall that. But I also said if that's the only way we can go, if that's the only solution to achieving cost competitiveness, then that's what we'll have to do. Well, what's transpired at the negotiating table over the last, 14 months, 13 months, is no concessionary agreement. That has been the flat statement of your union, and I expect representing a bulk of the membership's viewpoint. I'm sitting over here saying the last offer that your people presented, your negotiators, would increase our costs by $100 million. And in this day and age, fellas, with the competition I talked about earlier, I can't afford that. This company can't afford that, $100 million. So what alternatives we have? Well, as you'll recall, you may have heard this by rumor or whatever, as I saw this thing really going down to the end and we weren't getting anywhere, I decided, okay, I've not been talking to the pilots for well over a year now because I did not want to go around your negotiating committee. I wanted to negotiate through them, through your union. And so therefore I didn't go out to the pilots. And I decided the way things were going, it looks like we're headed to an impasse or a head knocking, and I'd be darned if I wasn't going to hear what the pilots had to say. So on a Saturday and a Sunday, I went out to O'Hare and stood around in dispatch, and I listened. I listened to what the pilots were concerned about. I did the same thing in Denver, and I heard. I then came back and instructed Dave Pringle to change our offer to address those things that I heard from you. Everything except the one issue that separates us today, and that is the new higher scale. Dave went to Boston. That offer was on the table, and that's what I've communicated to you all in that pamphlet and the letter from me. So what we're down to is an issue, basically one issue. It's the new higher scale. I don't like losing the goodwill of the pilots. And if you think I enjoy taking this adversarial position, you're sorely mistaken. This issue of cost competitiveness is absolutely imperative to the future health of your company. Let me make a point to you. A lot of pilots have said to me, Dick, how can you sacrifice this entire company and this goodwill and everything? What are you talking about, Dick? $50 million? $60 million? That's about, maybe that's what we're talking about, but let me put it to you in a different way. This company, let's say, will do $6 billion worth of business. We've said that our profitability goal is 5 cents on every dollar. So 5 cents on $6 billion is $300 million. That's what a normal average company should make to prosper, to grow, to reward shareholders, take care of its employees, serve the public, buy new equipment. That's normal. All right, $300 million is our objective. And remember, we're in a very competitive business. All charge the same price. Very little leverage. It's a tough business. You all know that. If the total pilot payroll is $600 million, and let's make an assumption that over the next 10 years, 50% of the pilots will be replaced and come in at the new higher scale, 50%. Well, let's see, 50% of the pilots are coming in a new higher scale. And let's assume that we have 4,500 pilots. I'll just take 2,000 pilots in that 10-year period. And the new higher scales that we have, all right, are 40% less on average. Say 40%. Depends whether you add up or figure down. I'm saying 40% less. Okay. If half the population, forget my 2,000 pilots, but if half the population of pilots are new hires in 10 years, okay, half the population, and in constant dollars, if the payroll is 600 million, then we're talking about 300 million. And if the 300 million is 40% less, what's 40% of 300 million? It's 120 million a year. That's what we're talking about. And 120 million is a big chunk of 300 million. It's not something I can ignore. It's not something I can turn away from. So that's another way to look at it. As I said earlier, our competitors have it. American has, Continental has, Frontier has, People Express, our 4 biggest competitors. I cannot ignore it. So now we're at the point, the impasse, that we're at the point we are today. And what is that point? That point is this. I, as your chairman and chief executive, with the full backing of the board of directors, the management of this company, have determined that we must be cost competitive. Your union has told me no concessionary agreement. Therefore, I had to fashion the only solution that I felt was workable. And that solution was what I mailed to your homes, which was known as the Boston offer. That is the contract that is on the table. It will not be changed. Negotiations are going on currently. We'll move the pieces around to satisfy the union's need. But as I told Roger, once we enter the countdown, the pieces will not be changed. We are very serious about this. We will operate this airline. I will operate this airline if no one crosses the line. I will operate the airline if only 5% cross the line. If we have to on day 1 or day 2 or day 3, after we gather our wits and get together, we'll operate 5% of the airline. And then when I can, I'll grow it to 10%. And after that, I'll grow it to 15%. And gentlemen, if it takes me 6 months, if it takes me a year, I will rebuild this airline, and I will not cave. I do not have round heels. At the present time, our advertisements for pilots is going very well. The phones are ringing off the hook. Captain Berry, who will talk momentarily, has secured, and we have in place, the training capability to train 600 pilots a month worldwide, and we will do that. Assuming that I could fill every class, in a period of 6 months easily, I will have United Airlines back to 100%. And another note you might note, of course, if we are struck and if service by the pilots is withheld, we can operate this airline under emergency work rule procedures at 100% with probably, Lloyd, what would you say, about 70% of the pilot workforce that we have today. Probably around 3,300 pilots can run the same size airline today that it's taking, what, about 4,700 under emergency work rules. I'm serious. I keep saying that because I'm so concerned that people are going to make a fateful decision and not understand my resolve. In addition, any United Airlines pilot that comes to work for this company, comes over and comes to work, if he has to cross that line, will be protected by me and this company. He will never be forsaken in any back-to-work agreement. Any new hire pilot that comes to work for this company will not be forsaken in a back-to-work agreement. I don't want to get into this. Roger Hall called me the other day when I was in Washington working on our very exciting Pan-American deal and said, Dick, can we get back to the table? I said, Roger, I'll meet you anywhere, anytime. And we did. We met. And out of that meeting came a return to the table. And they negotiated. I think it was Tuesday, Lloyd, if I'm correct, and Wednesday. And today is Thursday. We've been traveling a lot. But we're going to get back to the table next Monday. And I hope and I pray that we can reach a negotiated settlement. That's what we all want. Will what we're going through change the relationship on United? Yes, I think it will for a long term. I think it's permanently changed. I've accepted that because I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility not only to the pilots of this company, but a responsibility to the 42,000 other employees of this company.